This is the Lost Adventurer, and this is the Little Tiny.
Hi.
And today we're going over B10 Night's Dark Terror, written back in 1986 by the UK TSR team, Jim Bambra, Graeme and Phil Gallagher. This one is not just a job, it's an adventure, just like the old military recruiters used to say. Designed for 5 to 8 characters of levels 2 to 4. This adventure was it was designed as sort of a bridge between the basic and the expert sets. And I gotta say, these guys shot it completely out of the park. According to Jim Bambra on the BECMI Facebook page, he says that a lot of the design work was done between Graeme and himself, with Phil Gallagher involved in many of the brainstorming sessions. So all 3 of these authors, which were really good, they have an entire list of adventures for each one of them. They were all pretty good. None of them were complete crap. This was a collaborative effort between the 3 of them. And for amount of pages that are inside this thing, which is 64, this thing beats out some modern adventures that are created with hundreds of pages. You've got an initial riverboat ride that is ambushed by bandits. You have a siege at a fortified camp. There's an entire wilderness exploration part. You got the exploration of a city and dealing with the politics of the situation. An ongoing enemy that keeps on evolving no matter how many of them you kill. There's a hidden civilization the players end up having to find. I mean, it's good. It's got all the bits you need for this thing could last you an entire year if your players played it that way. So anyways, back to the adventure. We're talking 5 to 8 characters of levels 2 to 4. And it starts off with a really basic, this guy named Steven is looking for a group of adventurers to guard, the escort of a bunch of horses from his brother's horse farm to a location where it's going to be sold. And he offers 100 gold pieces. This can be done almost anywhere, I would say. So after your players finish off their first adventure of their lifetime, you could have this Steven guy meet them inside of the tavern or in they're at and offer them a new job after about hearing the reputation of how well they dealt with the previous job. And it sounds really easy. 100 gold pieces just to escort some horses to a location where it's going to be sold at? Easy. Well, it's not easy. And like I said, this isn't just a job, it's an adventure. Unbeknownst to anybody involved in this entire situation, or even the local authorities at the time, there's this evil organization called the Iron Ring. The Iron Ring is a group of slavers, and one of their guys, let's call him a sort of archaeologist, some evil Indiana Jones going on over here, has figured out that there is a ancient civilization that died off, and they left behind these tapestries that once you add this special needle with golden thread, the needle will go through and thread the golden thread through the tapestry, and it actually reveals a way to their hidden civilization or the last readouts of their people. And supposedly there's a whole bunch of treasure left behind by this long-forgotten ancient civilization. Unfortunately, the original tapestry ends up being destroyed, and now the Iron Ring's looking for a replacement tapestry. And they have heard this rumor that to the east in this general location is another tapestry held inside of one of the farmsteads. So this organization has actually shut off this entire region, we'll go over that in a second, and has begun invading and ransacking all the nearby residences and homesteads to try and find this tapestry. It just starts about, I think, 2 days before the players get there, and the actual tapestry is being held in Stefanos' brother's homestead. His brother's named Piotr. Now, nobody knows the actual value of this magical tapestry. Piotr just has it as a family heirloom just laying on the wall of their house. So back to the adventure. So Steven ends up hiring all these guys to go guard the horses, and off they go. They end up first going to this town called Kelvin, where they'll end up catching this boat that's, it's a riverboat, and the riverboat captain is named Kalanos. Kalanos has additional 8 individuals that are rowers for the ship, and Kalanos was hired to take all the players to this place called Misha's Ferry, which is just a stop on the side of the river, so they could make their way to the homestead of Piotr, where they'll find the horses they're supposed to guard, right? Well, when they leave Kelvin, they'll start heading east, and this is where it starts becoming obvious that something is wrong. You see, the Iron Ring has set up a chain across the river to try and block anybody else from getting inside the eastern part of this region. They're trying to stop the flow of any adventurers, guards, the sort of type of people that would stop them from being able to ransack all these homesteads. Standard, well-organized brigand bandit stuff. So the riverboat will end up hitting this chain and being stuck there, and that's when the party will end up being ambushed by, 21 members of the Iron Ring. And unbeknownst to the players, there's an additional one that's pretending to be one of the rowers. This entire battle, so the Iron Ring guys, one of them's an actual real fighter. The rest of them, like the 20 other guys, they're called Hounds of the Iron Ring. These guys don't really wear any armor. In fact, 8 of them will be firing from the river's edge, and an additional 12 will begin swimming towards the boat as it's stuck there. The 12 that are swimming towards the boat, they got no armor of any kind, and they're equipped with daggers. The 8 on the side, they got bows, and there's this one guy that's the leader that's a second-level fighter called a Reaver. He's actually wearing chainmail, so he's not going to be part of the 12 that swim towards the boat. It's going to take the 12 that are swimming towards the boat probably between, 3 to 6 rounds to even get to the boat. And then it's going to take an additional round to climb onto the ship itself to engage the players. The whole time there's just arrows shooting everywhere. The players are probably shooting at the other guys on the river's edge. And the guys on the river's edge are shooting at the players, who get an additional bonus for being behind these walls on the ship. When the 12 guys begin boarding the ship, that is when the hidden spy guy makes his sneak attack on the players as a way to distract them and allow the 12 onto the ship. This won't be a difficult encounter. At least it shouldn't be a difficult encounter. You know how things go. And the players should be able to defeat these guys pretty easily. These guys have no treasure of any kind. I mean, there's nothing really on them except for their equipment. And after this is done, Kalanos will come out and he'll say, well, that was kind of weird. And he'll take them to Misha's Ferry. Now, when they get to Misha's Ferry, the house that Misha lives in, where the ferry's supposed to be, Misha won't be there. Kalanos will say something like, that's normal. She's just kind of weird like that. She's probably out hunting with her bear because she's a druid of some kind. And he'll say, it's fine if you guys just stay inside the house. It's okay. Unbeknownst to the players or Kalanos, Misha has actually already been killed by the members of the Iron Ring that are currently invading the area. They got an entire part about how the bear is involved. There's some wolves howling. Either way, the players are supposed to stay here for the night, and the next day they should wake up and probably wait for a little bit, and then at night they'll begin seeing these flames coming from the east. These flames are coming from the place they're supposed to be going to, which is called Sakuskin. Susikin, let's say Sakuskin. Sakuskin sounds good. So Sakuskin is, when I say homestead, this is like a mini castle, a mini wooden castle, but it's a castle, and it's currently under siege by 3 different tribes of goblins. And this is where the whole siege part comes into play. Now, this is a map of Sakuskin, and the players will first come upon it when it's being under attack at night. The players will run in, the members of the family will urge them to hurry up and get to the gate before it burns down. The barn's on fire to the right, and everything's it's gone to crap. The entire situation has gone to complete chaos. This map has everything on it. It has where the stables are. It has all the numbers of the houses. It has a description of what's inside of each one of the places. It's got descriptors for every single member of the family that's in here. And it's also got some information out of 2 out of the 3 tribes that are currently invading this place. You see, the 3rd tribe, called the Vipers, have already broken into the keep and stolen all the horses. And the last 2 tribes, the Red Blades and the Wolf Skulls, are still sieging the place because they know that the actual objective is not the horses. It's supposed to be this magical tapestry that they're looking for, because these goblins are all under the control of the Iron Ring. And the person overseeing the assault is this hobgoblin named Vrax, or Vrak. And Vrak he's got a few of his own minions, and they're vampiric giant bats. Now, the authors of this adventure have written 4 major assaults onto this homestead while the players are there. The first one will happen 3 hours after midnight, in which case a large group of wolf skulls and red blades will assault the keep. It's got an entire part how it works through. It has the part where the goblins are trying to chop through the front door. So that part should be easily defended from. The second one is going to be sort of they've stolen a dress from one of the other households. They've already slayed the inhabitants. And they try and trick the players to come outside to go investigate this woman screaming out there wearing this yellow dress. It's actually a couple goblins dressed up in this yellow dress with a female goblin screaming for help to try and, trick the defenders outside of their defensive positions. If the players do this, this is bad news. There's a whole bunch of goblins that are going to end up fighting them, and it's going to end poorly. The next attack will be by Vrak's vampiric bats. Kind of rhymes, actually. So anyways, the bats will assault the main tower and try and squeeze through the firing ports and begin attacking the defenders. And the final attack will happen in the morning the next day. Just before dawn, before the sun comes up. The wolf skull goblins will actually leave, and what's left of the red blades will begin their final assault and will be completely fearless in this attack. The entire thing is sort of done in a way the players aren't going to be able to get a long rest, and there'll be a series of pretty numerous assaults happening onto the players. So this is a lot about resource and magical spell management. This is nowhere near as complicated as my previous videos about the brigands, but it's still a pretty good siege adventure. I mean, the players are going to feel the tension as everything starts running low. The authors have also included a couple random encounters that can happen as often as the DM wishes for it to happen. The first one is just a basic ominous silence. The beating of drums and the sounds of goblins will suddenly stop. So maybe give the feeling like an assault is about to happen. This will probably work better if you use this silence to happen before the first attack happens. So it sort of feels like there is an assault coming, but there's no assault that happens to this one. And the second one is going to be snipers. He's got an encounter here where a certain amount of goblins will begin firing at the portholes. They'll step out from the woods and begin shooting into the keep so the players can have that tension happening too. This is completely separate from the other 4 major encounters that happen here, and it's just a way to continue to mess with the players. In regards to numbers, there's over possibly 100 goblins involved in this entire thing. However, at any one time, there's only at most 30 to 40 goblins assaulting the castle at the same time. After the siege is done and the final of the red blade goblins is killed, that's when they'll observe that all the horses are stolen. The players can go off, looking for the horses. The trail is really easy to find. In fact, so the viper goblins that stole the horses, they end up being caught up by the wolf skull goblins, who aren't very happy that they just left the siege up to the last 2 tribes. And there ends up being a battle where most of the Vipers tribe is killed, and some of the horses are killed too. The Vipers still get away with most of the horses, and they end up selling it to this group of bandits. The bandits won't initially appear to be bandits. Yeah, they'll appear to be like a sketchy used car salesman. Yeah, go for that look. Sketchy used car salesman. And there's 5 or 6 of them. And the bandit leader is this lady named Fedoril. Well, here's how you spell it. This is the bandit leader. And she has a sign up that says that she's a dealer in fine horses. She's not. She's a bandit. But she'll understand the players when they come up and say, hey, those are my horses, and they stole them. In which case she'll be like, well, I understand that, but I paid for these, but I'd be willing to sell them back to you for the price that I paid, which is 50 gold pieces each. They didn't pay 50 gold pieces, they paid 15 gold pieces each. If the players refuse this offer and turn around or start getting angry, these 5 bandits will then attack them from behind by surprise. And that's it. They'll be able to retrieve these horses and bring them back to the camp. When they get to the camp, that's when they're in for some more bad news. You see, when they get back to Sekuskun, Gregor and 3 other men from the lumber camp at Iliakana, one of those. I don't know how to say it. It's really complicated. Will inform everybody there that the lumber camp they came from was attacked last night, and this was actually the same camp that Kalanos, the riverboat driver, was heading to previously. So anyways, these guys will inform everybody at the homestead that everybody at the camp has been killed by goblins. And these goblins actually took the survivors, or what was left of them, captive to sell as slaves. And one of those captives happens to be Stephen, the original hirer of the party, who is also Piotr's brother. And this is where the next part of the campaign will go, which is going to be the whole wilderness encounter searching part. I'm not going to go over every encounter in here because there was a lot, but I'll go over the general parts here. Over here we have Iliakana, the lumber camp that I can't really say, but here's how you spell it. And they'll find the entire ruins of the entire place. And Kalanos is actually still there. He's gone completely insane seeing everybody get murdered, and he's running around with an axe. And he's not a very happy person. And he will probably attack the players if they try and talk to him. Though there is a way to try and, get control of him and save him, because he really isn't that bad of a guy. I would suggest giving the players a little bit of extra XP if they end up saving Kalanos. The poor guy has pretty much seen all of his friends and employees get murdered in front of him, so it's sort of understandable that he has gone completely nuts. You got all 3 of the layers. You have the Red Blade layer, you got the Viper's layer, and you have the Wolf Skull layer. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Stephen wasn't taken captive by the Red Blades, he was taken captive by the Wolf Skull goblins. So, the Red Blade layer is actually a bandit because almost all of them are dead. Going through their lair will actually, they can collect a decent amount of treasure here, and there's not much guarding it. There's some giant rats and giant shrews here, but it's not too dangerous. They can go through here and find the leftovers of an entire tribe that's been annihilated. The Viper lair still has some guardians left in it, but there's not too many, and it's not going to be too difficult. The leader is dead, but he's been replaced by one of his high-level bodyguards as the leader, and there's a fight or a last stand that happens in the main chamber. Now, the Wolf Skulls is going to be the real issue. These guys are still good to go, and at the end, the players will end up finding that Stephen isn't here. He's already been taken to the main Iron Ring hideout, which nobody really knows how to get to. Beyond that, there's a few other encounters hidden here in the forest. There's an entire island that elves inhabit with a little bit of an adventure inside of it. There's a gold mine the players could go into. There's some sort of pixie village. There's some burial mounds that the players could go to if they're really feeling like dealing with some undead. And these locations right here are destroyed homesteads and other lumber camps that have already been taken over or the residents killed and captured by the goblins. You'll notice that I'm not saying that any of the Iron Ring people are specifically involved in these. The Iron Ring has subcontracted all of these attacks to goblins, so it doesn't really trace back to them. So back to the Wolf Skull lair, the players will fight through this entire thing, free some captives, and at the end, one of the captives will inform the players that, yeah, they know of this guy named Stephen you're talking about. They saw him taken by some humans to the actual Iron Ring compound that they don't really know is there. The only thing they really know is it's like some sort of ancient ruin that's hidden somewhere in the area. Some place called the Old Ruins of Zetaka. I probably said that wrong too, so here's the spelling. Now, nobody's going to know where these ruins are. However, when the players go back to the homestead, someone will mention that there possibly is an individual that knows how to deal or knows where the ruins are. And it's going to be this creature called a Chevelle, which is like a guardian spirit of horses that resides in the area. And they give you a way to make contact with this Chevelle. Now, a Chevelle, I think, is a new monster for this book. And it's sort of like a centaur that can change into an actual full-on horse. Eventually, they'll make contact with this guy, who is named Lashad. And Lashad will tell them, yeah, I know where this place is. However, for me to give you this information, you're going to have to do something for me. Plaguing these woods is a, nest of werewolves. And you all, after you clear out these werewolves and bring proof to me that you've killed them, I will tell you where the ruins are. So, in the span of maybe 4 days, the players have been assaulted on a riverboat, been part of a siege. They've gone to the wilderness looking for captives and freeing some. And now they're dealing with a magical centaur creature that's telling them to go deal with some werewolves. If this doesn't count as an adventure, I don't know what is. So the players will go deal with this den of werewolves. There's only 2 werewolves, but there's an entire group of wolves that are also part of their pack. Hopefully the players will be able to deal with this, but anyways, after the players deal with the werewolves, off they go to the ruins of Zatak after Lashad tells them where it's at. And this is the next part of the adventure, the ruins of Zataka. I still don't know if I'm saying it right. Zataka? That's close enough. So the ruins, this is a really basic adventure. You go inside these ruins, it's inhabited by a bunch of goblins, there's some wild baboons inside of here, some hobgoblins, and the leader of the Iron Ring in the region, a guy named Golthar. Now, Golthar, you don't really get to fight Golthar here. He hasn't a way to escape from here. But when you guys first find him, he's actually interrogating Steven inside of a room that's hidden by invisibility. Now, once the players find this room, Golthar will make his escape and the players will be able to see this guy in yellow robes running away into this side door. And as he closes the door, you hear another thing open up and out comes a minotaur the players have to fight. This is the main bad guy, I would say. There's a couple jade living statues that are also in here, but the players will be able to deal with those if they can deal with the minotaur. So the players save Steven, and Steven's going to be able to tell them some information. Steven, being the smart guy he is, realizes with all the way the questions were going that the important thing was the tapestry that's at his brother's place, and it involves an entire hidden location full of treasure. And if the players are, they do what they're supposed to do and search all the rooms, they'll find in Golthar's room the silver needle and golden thread needed to be used on the tapestry. And now, hearing about all the treasure, Steven's all about finding this ancient location and getting it for himself. Well, not exactly for himself, for his entire family, and he also realizes that if the tapestry continues to remain at his family's homestead, they're never going to be free of this Iron Ring group. So anyways, the players will end up leaving this location. They'll be able to take Steven back to Piotr's homestead, and there'll be a giant celebration, and then Steven will tell them the entire plan. That the players will take the horses to this village called Riflin, just like they were originally hired to do. And once they're there, they'll be able to take half the proceeds and keep it for themselves as part of their payment. Now, on the way to Riflin, there's a few random encounters that they've put inside the book. One of them specifically deals with Lashad making his return, reminding them of the deal that they made, where they'll eventually free the horses they have that aren't the white ones that they're trying to sell. And also that there's a group of Iron Ring slavers that are currently roaming the area that the players should deal with. The slavers actually have captured a group of horses and people. Now, Lashad's main worry is the horses because, he's like some sort of spirit animal for horses. And if the players get kind of iffy about, risking their lives to save a bunch of horses, Lashad will also point out that they also have people, and they should probably be heroes. This is an optional encounter. However, if they don't deal with these, Iron Ring slavers, these guys will end up killing another homestead the next day. Beyond that, there's not much between here and getting to Riflin. Once they get to Riflin, they'll sell the horses for a pretty decent amount. There's a whole bargaining bit inside of here. And after that, the players are supposed to go to this frontier town called Threshold. There's 2 ways to go to Threshold. The first is by boat, and the other is by by trail. And either way, the players will end up having to deal with this group called the Scanch, which is a group of brigands that are currently harassing all the people that are using either the river or the trail. Either way the players go with it, this is an encounter that happens and they'll deal with this small group of brigands. There's not too many of them, and they're actually based out right here if the players decide to go and try and deal with them. There's about 20 of them. And these guys are a little bit more well-equipped than the Iron Ring guys, but they're not as organized. The players will also, on this trip to Threshold, observe a flying carpet fly past them, with 2 individuals on it with one wearing a yellow robe. If asked, the ship captain, if they're on the ship, will be able to tell them who it belongs to, which is this lady named Cardia. Cardia is not a member of the Iron Ring. She's just a normal, transportation provider. And she doesn't know that Golthar is an evil person. She's just providing him a ride from the location he was at to Threshold. And then the players will eventually reach Threshold itself. Now, the authors haven't really given a full... They don't have enough space to fully flesh out a town. But they do say that give the players enough time to collect equipment and whatever they need here, because this is the first time they're going to be able to get the more, rarer equipment. This is going to be the place where they'll be able to get health potions and plate armor if they want to get it. All the sort of stuff they haven't been able to get in these small villages or at the homesteads. This is the place where they're going to get it. Now, Golthar is also here. Golthar is trying to get the tapestry and the silver needle and golden thread that he lost earlier back. He can't act openly in Threshold because the local guards can overpower him. But that doesn't mean he's given up. He has an entire plan to trick the players into a secluded area and kill them. It starts off with this lady being attacked, and if the players save him, she'll be able to tell him about this tall guy in yellow robes and where she saw him at. Or if they don't save her, there'll be this note that's left behind that's saying that meet me at the Inn of the Crossed Swords, Golthar. So either way, he's trying to trick the players to go to this inn called the Inn of the Crossed Swords. Now, the inn is actually an old abandoned inn, so the players aren't going to be able to get inside this place during the day. Trying to break into this place during the day is going to catch the attention of crowds, and the guards probably aren't going to be very happy seeing a group of vagabonds trying to break into an abandoned place. Probably not going to be fans. Which pretty much makes it so the players have to go here at night. Once they break through here at night, the players will find that the entire place is abandoned, except for its single occupant that'll pop out of a trap door in the middle of the tavern. And this single occupant, no big deal, is a troll. There was a troll that was stuck in the cellar, and now it's popped out. Now the players get to deal with it. Now, as the players deal with this troll, a little bit later, Golthar will show up outside of the tavern, and if the players step outside of it, he will ambush them with his new minions, which is a group of were-rats. Or if the players take too long, he can end up going in there with the were-rats. I should mention that Golthar is a level 6 wizard or magic user, so he's not going to be easy to take down. The hideout that Golthar has in Threshold is actually going to be the were-rat hideout. It's right down the road from the Crossed Swords Tavern, and for resources he has in this area, if you decide to expand upon this, he's got 10 thugs, which are just hired muscle. These guys aren't going to stick around for too much. They'll leave if things start looking bad. He's got 2 Hounds of the Iron Ring, which are the weaker minions that he's got. 1 Reaver and 4 were-rats. It'll make things a little bit more complicated for the players. It doesn't really matter if the players are able to defeat Golthar, if they kill him, or if they capture him, because even if they remove Golthar from this entire equation, there's going to be another replacement from the Iron Ring that's going to hound them all the way to the end. And that's going to be it for Threshold. Threshold is mainly just an area for the players to restock, get some new stuff, and get all the supplies they wanted. And this one single encounter involving the Iron Ring. There's a couple extra things that are in here, but those aren't major necessary encounters. After this, you have the whole Towards the Black Peaks part of the adventure. This is the location that once Steven uses the needle on the tapestry, will show him is the location that is the direction that he needs to go to find this, hidden ancient empire full of treasure. Now, everybody knows that this location up here is infested with Gnolls, which is the reason why nobody's gone up here for hundreds of years. It's because there's this huge Gnoll infestation that has taken over the entire region, and it's not safe at all. Truthfully, this section is going to be pretty easy to run. It's a series of set encounters along with the environmental situations the players are going to have to find their way around, to include collapsed bridges and constant harassment by Gnolls. And the Gnolls will eventually push the players up to the entrance of the location they're trying to get to, which is known as the Lost Valley of Hataka. And the players will be stuck inside there dealing with the situation in there. This part of the adventure is only 4 pages. It just gets you to the Lost Valley itself. Now, once the players get to the Lost Valley after being hounded for days by these Gnolls that are trying to eat them and kill them, they'll also have to cross all these bridges across this giant waterfall and all these deep ravines. You can see there's these ancient roads and ancient bridges crossing all these sections. Some of them are crumbled, and some of them still have active guardian statues that each one of the players will have to deal with. Eventually, once they get past the last set of guardians, they'll come upon these giant doors with this imposing wall that is the Lost Valley of Hataka itself. And the players will find they'll be able to gain entrance with that silver needle that they have. The silver needle is the key that lets them inside. And once they get inside, surprise, surprise, it's not as easy as they originally thought. You see, the ancient civilization was a group of these fox people that are called the Hataka, and their slaves, which are some cavemen, called the Traldar. Unfortunately for the Hatakans, the Traldar have revolted against them, and there's been a constant issue for centuries between the two, living in this isolated valley, having to deal constantly with each other. Oh, and there is an entire undead infestation that the players will have to deal with too. They've included the politics of dealing with all of these different organizations, and the end fight involves fighting against some sort of evil Cthulan tentacle monster that resides in the bottom of the main temple. And then, at the end of it, no matter which side you choose, whether it's Traldar or Hatakan, they're going to try and backstab you. But, oh, is there a lot of treasure in here. I mean, I gotta say, I'm not going to go over every single particular in here. This is pretty much it that I'm going to say about it. This is, just go buy the adventure. This is worth it, however much it costs. Which I think right now is $14 or $15 for the PDF and the print on demand. Just go get it. Now, I obviously didn't go through every single aspect of every single adventure in here, because if I did, this would be a 2-hour-long video. As it is, it's still going over 30 minutes. So that just gives you an idea of what's inside of this adventure that you could possibly do. I mean, there's so much more you could add on to this entire thing that this thing's amazing. This entire adventure is amazing. These 3 guys made something that I don't understand how it's not bigger than it already is. So props to the 3 of them. This should be up there with the Keep on the Borderlands in excellence. So we're going to go ahead and go to rating it. For a rating, this is a 5. The adventure rating is a 5. For value, it's also getting a 5. And for deadliness, we're going to give it another 5. I mean, you're dealing with a siege, an entire wilderness adventure, having an entire mob of Gnolls trying to eat you, and a pretty organized evil organization trying to kill you at the same time. If I could give this even more points, I would. But just to say it's 5 out of 5 across the board, excellent. And that's it. That's all I'm going to say about this one. I mean, you should buy the adventure if you don't have it already. Maybe not the actual copy, like original copies, because you're going to be talking $100 plus. But buy the print on demand. It's nice to have. So I hope this helps somebody out there. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.